Hi gang, welcome back to episode 8 of the James Sinclair Q&A show. This is the Business Entrepreneurial podcast, isn't it, Chudders? Chudders sitting next to me.
Hello.
Who's on every single one of these shows, and he edits and puts all of our content together. But what we're doing differently in this, we're not taking comments off of YouTube, and we're not taking comments off of Linky Dink and Facebook and all those things.
This is a live version.
This is live. We've got two fantastic entrepreneurs and business owners who are sitting in front of me. For those that are watching this on YouTube, because we do it audio, don't we, Chaz? But we also...
Yeah, we film it. I mean, we may as well film it.
Put it out visually as well. So you can go and watch it visually on YouTube. We put it on all the platforms.
The Q&A show just goes on YouTube.
Just goes on YouTube.
LinkedIn require 50 or 10 minute video.
Yeah. So if you want to watch it and you don't want to listen to it, then head on over to YouTube. So we've got two people. We've got Carl and Nicki, who are members of the Entrepreneurs Network, which is our business training organisation. You guys just say hello.
Hello.
Right, let's just quickly find out what your businesses are. Let's not go into too long. You got 3 seconds. You've got some interesting businesses. Who should we go? I will go with you first, Carl. What do you do?
I own a small pub and hotel and 2 chip shops.
2 chip shops, small pub and a hotel. How many employees have you got in total?
I think we're about 17 or 18 at the minute.
17 or 18. And do you love your business, hate your business? Struggle with your business?
Depends what day you ask me. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. Every day I struggle with it.
Proper entrepreneurial answer. I'm going to ask you the same as well, but let's go over to Nicki, who's got a really quite interesting business. One of the only people I know that does what you... Well, the only person I know that does what you do, and I've spent a lifetime in entertainment, and I've never got to know anyone that's done what you've done. So what is it, Nicki?
I own a ice sculpture business.
Ice sculpture business. Let's have just a little bit more context there, so people
Talking as minimum as possible.
Well, we create ice sculptures for events and promotions and TV and things like that, really.
I've got a question. I know this is a James Sinclair Q&A show, but what's the biggest ice sculpture you've made?
What, single sculpture or...?
She's getting technical now, Chance.
I'm not bothered. Just, I want to know the biggest... Yeah, single sculpture. What's the biggest?
Would be a 26-block wall with stuff frozen
wall
in.
Wall
of ice at the Excel Centre with lots of different things frozen in for the British...
Flowers and...
Fish, food. It was the...
Fish frozen?
Yeah, we did that a lot.
Nice.
Pole fish.
Maybe we should talk.
Yeah,
that was for the British Frozen Food Federation. They do a show every 2 years.
You've done stuff for the Brit Awards, GMTV.
Brit Awards, BAFTAs.
Make logos out of ice. You want a grand piano made out of ice? Yeah. Nicki is your lady, so it's PSD
we
ice.
We did build an igloo at the top of the Shard once.
Built an igloo? I mean,
on Valentine's Day.
This is just not normal behaviour.
Trying to get 3 tons of ice up the Shard in their normal list was a bit tricky.
Yeah, I've always said to Natalie, my other half, I want to take you up the Shard, and she's never been interested.
Oh, well. And then grab a drink.
So that's their businesses. Both employ people, both do. One's in catering, one's in ice.
Events.
Events and ice.
Really.
Basically, the format of the show works like this. Usually, guys, what we do is we go onto the internet, we take comments from people that have asked us stuff on all of the platforms of social media. But what we thought would be really good is we don't do this for too long, this show. But if you've got any questions you like to ask me that you think could help your business, we've been out for lunch before this. We might have exhausted.
Yeah, we were all the conversations over lunch. I was wishing we would have those conversations over the podcast, but
because the content mics to the lunch.
The content was good.
Well, we're going to try and recreate them now. Maybe you can prompt their memories on some of the good questions as well, Chaz.
Pressure.
I like what you're wearing. Chaz is wearing a nice little...
Every time I've worn this t-shirt, Jim's gone, I like what you're wearing, Mike. Oh, Chudders.
Because if you look visually, you can think he probably looks naked, but he's not. Yeah. He's not. He's got some... he's got like a flesh-coloured t-shirt on. It's nice. It's attractive. Okay, right. So Carl, have you got a question you'd like to ask us?
Well, can we start by saying Carl is an avid viewer of the Q&A show. You've asked 3 or 2 questions?
I've asked 2 questions, and
I think we need to. Can I just say? I think we're going to rename the show the Michael Chudley Q&A show.
Okay. Yeah.
No, go on. Yes.
I've asked a couple of questions before. One of them I wanted to sort of go back to, and it was you have a property portfolio, and in a couple of videos you've talked that commercial property has always been better for you, or that's been what you wanted to build your portfolio more out of rather than residential, and I just wondered if we've got the time to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Well, there's a number of reasons that I prefer commercial property over residential property is because, number one, all the people that I've met that have made lots of money out of property have all got commercial interest. They don't own houses and flats. When I say money, I mean serious wealth, and I've sort of noticed that. Also, I think the government are more pro-commercial property than they are residential property. They keep putting in tax changes to deter buy-to-let landlords, and I just don't really ever want to fight the establishment. I'm not starting a revolution here. I just want to enjoy my life, and I don't therefore want to get involved in things where the government are starting to put walls up around you. I still believe in residential property. We've still got a lot of residential property, but if I'm buying anything else now, it is purely commercial, and commercial where we always try and look really where the business operates out of the commercial business, because I just feel that's safer. So if I was doing storage, I'd want to buy the warehouse that I'm storing stuff out to people. The way to get into commercial property is build a profitable business, and then the banks will help you. That's my view, and that's what I've learned. It should always be business first, property second, and you build the property portfolio on the back of leveraging off of the business. That's how I believe you should do it.
Okay, thank you.
And I recently looked at a commercial, first time ever buying commercial property.
Yeah.
And the thing that put me off was you have to put something like 30% down.
Yeah. So if this is we feel where you're operating the ICE business out of, and that 30% would have dented your cash flow, or you would have had to save it up, and you're always using the cash. What I would do is go to the bank and say, look, I've got a really profitable business here, but I need the cash in the business to help grow the business. But it's easily affordable for me to buy this business. Can you lend me the 30% on a 5-year cash flow loan, and then the 70% over 25 years? So I'm paying the deposit back quicker, but then that leaves me to have the cash in the business so I can grow the business still and use the cash to grow the business, and not tie all my money up into property. I've been established for how many years?
Me, since 2005.
So I've got a business that's been established for 10 years. It's been paying rent for how many ever years. You can prove all this stuff. Say the affordability's here, the management's here. I don't mind. You'd have to give it a personal guarantee. So look, I don't even mind personally guaranteeing it. I don't want you to tie up my cash. So go back to it. I want 70% over 20 years and the deposit over 5 years on a cash flow loan. And then if you knock on 5 banks' doors, then they should do that.
Okay.
Had you thought of that?
No. I got to the 30%, I don't know what to do now.
It's a stupid mindset, but you stop at the first no. Quite often you think, they say I'm not ready yet. And that's as similar. I haven't started that process, but in the past.
Yeah, so sometimes for banks though, you have to do, there's many ways to skin a cat, and you need to know most of them. You don't want to tie cash up if you're a growing business into property, but if it makes sense to buy that, why do we want to? If you bought the warehouse of your property and if your business and you wanted it for 25 years, you're controlling the rents never going up unless you want them to. You don't have to have that 3-5 year chat with your landlord every time and say, look, he wants to put the rent up, and then you go, no, I can't afford it, blah blah blah. When you own it, you can, even if you're worried about interest rates going up, you can fix it for a period so that you don't have to worry about that. You can do 10-year fixes now. They're only about 1% higher than a 2 or 3 year fixed, and if your business is worried about that, maybe that's a good idea to do.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that helped me, where I am, I'm restricted by power, because I need quite a lot of power to run the freezers.
Yeah.
And the property I looked at just only had about 100 watts of power, so I've got to look at that as well. And they're not easy to find.
You should keep doing it, because it's a great pension plan for SME business owners, because your business might not be something that's worth something in the future. You might get ill and therefore it starts falling apart, but if you've got a few freeholds around you, you've got some asset which will always provide you income. It's, if you're around the M25 like you are, you'll always be able to rent small commercial units out.
Oh God, yeah, definitely. It's just waiting for the right property to come up, really, and there's not
to keep
many.
Looking. No, that's right. Actually, it's easier to get the funding than actually finding the property. If you've got a good business that's good profitability, that's got history and management there, I would say to people, don't worry about the deposit. actually finding the thing is more difficult, because if you've got a good business behind you and the bank believes in you, and you know, other people, you know, you could go to Funding Circle for the deposit and the term loan with the bank, so you could use 2 different loans. You could do that, but getting the property, because if the commercial property is going up in value by 10% each year, which roughly I believe they do, I think the national average for property at the moment is 13.8%. It's going up in value each year. You know, the paying off the deposit, you know, is a tough time maybe, but it's only 5 years, and you tend to find that if you really need the money, you find the money and you work a bit harder. But once you've got a really good asset, you know, that's something that'll be there forever, and it's just a good security base. That's my opinion. That's what I do.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
On similar sort of subject, if for example, I mean, let's relate it to Nicki's business. If they wouldn't fund the full amount, but Nicki were able to find a smaller unit somewhere not that would suit her, would you consider her buying that unit and renting it out to create a portfolio and keep renting, or is that kind of false economy? Would it be better to wait until the time was right to buy the unit?
So I don't believe. I mean, I did do investment property and rent it out to people, but you don't want to be muddying the water on that until you've established your business in the first case.
Keep it simple in the beginning.
So build the business first, then you become an investor. It's very difficult to be a business and an investor in unison until you've actually made it. Whatever made it is, you'll know what made it is in your head, and then you become an investor. It's just, you got to follow one course until successful,
Yes, yeah. That's one of the things I've learned from that. You hear a lot of sound bites or mnemonics and things. Focus is the one that stuck with me more than any of those.
Yeah, where attention flows, the money goes.
That was good. I like that. You made that up just then?
Well, no, it's just not a phrase. Where attention goes, money
I liked
flows.
Very good.
I don't know if I put it on a picture with your
You
quote.
can do that if you want, Chance. Yeah.
Well, I will if you made it up.
Yeah, where attention goes, money flows. Isn't that good?
Yeah.
I've never heard
Captures
it.
the essence.
Have you heard it before? You heard it
No,
before?
I've never heard it. No.
Well, that's a James Sinclair quote.
Well, there we go. We'll use it. We'll turn it into.
That's my job here,
I'm
to
gonna
just
annoy
find
him now.
content.
We're going to turn that into a meme.
A meme. A meme.
Well, I'm not the one that looks stupid, so
Charles calls them memes. I call them memes because then they're mine.
okay.
It's something that I've invented. Right. Any other questions?
I have, well, again, me. Books.
Yep.
We were discussing books a bit earlier on, and in fact, the Richard Branson, Losing
Yep.
My Virginity, is sort of a bit of a Bible, I think, when it comes to business owners. But are there any that you would recommend that aren't necessarily sort of generic? Because there's a lot of them. I read Shoe Dog, very good book.
Yeah,
really
it's my
enjoyed
favourite
that.
book.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. But are there some that are more specific to starting from scratch and building up?
Some of the best ones, all the Dragon's Den ones. I didn't enjoy the Peter Jones one, but even some of the Dragons that are not on there now. So Duncan Ballantyne's a great story of where he started from ice cream vans and built that up. Theopathetus is his one. If you can still get hold of that, it's a brilliant book. Also, I hugely enjoyed James Carnes' one, where he built up a recruitment business. And there's some really good bits of advice in there on what he done when he sold his business. So if that is your plan, one of the things that James said when he sold his business, he got all the money and put it into a bank account that he couldn't touch for 12 months. And someone gave him that piece of advice. He said, if you ever come into a lot of money, put it into something that you can't touch for 12 months so that you don't make stupid decisions.
It's quite sensible.
And I thought that was such a great piece of advice. And you hear little things, think that is very, very smart. And while he had that 12 months, he went off to Harvard and studied business for 12 months to occupy his mind. They come back and then obviously went again, but made the right decisions, because as soon as you come into money, even if you win the lottery or you inherit money, somehow people that you never knew of come out of the woodwork and say, do you want to do this, do you want to do that? And especially if you're known to be entrepreneurially or a business owner, opportunities are magnetised to you and you have to be careful. So I think the James Carne one, very, very good. The Duncan Ballantyne and the Theopathetus one, I learned some good stuff from there. I suppose all my buying businesses for little or no money, I learned probably that from reading Theo's book. I thought that was a really smart move to make.
I've not read any of the James Den. I've read a lot of books, but none of those.
Yeah, they're because most of them not on it anymore. You have to try and hunt them down, but they're good books. I believe the James Caan one is available on Audible. Yeah, because I did listen to that, so I'm sure it's still there.
Oh, actually, yeah.
I struggle a bit with Audible. I'm not in the car enough. I listened on the way up today, but I'd have to literally go and drive somewhere to listen to Audible.
No, I listen to it at home, doing the washing up, ironing, even at work. It's constantly got an earpiece in, and you have to tune yourself into it.
Yeah.
But it does work. Yeah.
I'm sure it does. I just get easily distracted.
Oh,
I think that's my
Life
problem.
gets in the way.
Yeah. Right. Any other questions? We need one more.
I feel like my job's just redundant here because normally I'm the question.
Just what other good things were we talked about?
We talked about video.
Video.
Mm-hmm.
We think that you should only do video if you love being on video. That's the question. We do.
Yeah, people force it, don't they? They don't need to.
Yeah, it's much easier to do video if you're passionate about video and the content of getting it out there. If you find it easier to write stuff to get content out there and get a following, then do it. The whole thing about building personal brand, there needs to be a reason why you're building the personal brand. The reason I'm building a personal brand is because I believe it will open doors for the business and we have got a scalable business. However, if you just want something that turns £150,000 a year and gives you £70,000 a year into your personal bank account and you only work 2 or 3 days a week, why worry? Go and enjoy yourself, find a hobby. And I think we're quite hot on giving that piece of advice. Where is the thing that makes you happy? You don't have to build a monster like I have. Maybe you want to build a smaller business that actually generates you good income to have a great life, and you need to find out what spot you're at.
Oh, I know where I'm at. I'm at that one.
And that's, and I said to Nicki, we said that at lunch, I wish that in many ways I wish I was in Nicki's camp, because I think I'd be, but I just want to grow stuff, do stuff, I can't help myself, and I work hard in my whole life to get myself into a position where it doesn't need me, and then I create something else so that my time is gone again. And I think I will always lead my life like that, and it's I think it's a bit sad.
I think if it was truly sad, then you wouldn't do it, but obviously you do.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just imagine if I didn't do EN, you wouldn't get to spend every day
I know.
with me.
I wouldn't be doing this all the time, would I?
Your heart would be broken, wouldn't it?
Yeah, devastated.
Devastated.
Just go and feel someone else, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm just going to ask, what's the biggest challenge in your business?
Staff. Is a short answer. Yeah. Choosing the right ones, managing them properly, motivating them correctly.
I'm going to give you quick answers on that. When it comes to employing staff, if you've got less than 20 people, when you go over 12 people, it gets much harder. That's when, and you've got 3 separate sites, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Just make sure that you're talking about culture all the time. There is a culture in your business. Every business has a culture. It's just whether it's the one that you want. So you get a group of people together, there is a culture, and just make sure it's the one that you want. The way to get a great team is educate, congratulate, and then appreciate, and then repeat. So it's the education on a daily basis that gets the culture, that gets a great team.
I'm listening. I can't get hold of that book. That Taking People With the book.
Yeah, Amazon.
I've got it. I know I've got it on audio and I've got it on Kindle, but I cannot get a hard copy of it. I've tried. I was listening to it on the way up because culture's a big thing that I need to be dealing with in our business, because it's family.
You've got a problem though. You've got a family business, which I think is another dynamic. Mm-hmm. If you've got a family business, I strongly believe, and yours is an exception to the rule really, that you shouldn't force your children into the family business or your family into the family business. Only let them work there if they're passionate and really want to work there, and there should be a vocal rule that no one has to be here.
Oh yeah, I mean he's there because he wants to be, but there's not much you can do about that really.
No, I've got the opposite. My eldest, when I asked her what she'd like to do with her life, she said she doesn't want to work like I have to. She doesn't want an office job. She doesn't know what she does or doesn't want, but she doesn't want to graft the way that she sees her dad sometimes having to do, or put up with the stresses. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm glad she's that way than the opposite. But then my little one, she loves being in the businesses because she's so young and it's this role play thing, and that was one of the things we talked about at lunch, wasn't it? Is trying to. There doesn't seem to be, although you corrected me on it, there doesn't seem to be. Well, when I was that age, which was a few years ago. there was nothing there to say you can be an entrepreneur if you want. It was not that I fell into it. I think it was always there. But at school, it's never. You go to your careers advisor. You should be mine was civil engineer, believe it or not.
Yeah, the whole thing about I believe entrepreneurialism is a DNA, and I think, if you are very entrepreneurially driven, you're into it and you're starting it, and like I was saying to you, look for the kids that are selling sweets at school, trying to make money, when they're young, they just and they're thinking differently. They just think, you think, why do you think like that? And you'll just see it. And then if you can see that stuff, then you need to take it on yourself as a parent. Say, right, watch this video, buy them books, take them to seminars, because the stuff that they're going to see in school is not like, bloody send them to a business seminar, send them to one of my seminars, and they'll learn stuff like that. And then, so, if your kid's really into, drama or talent, wants to be an actress, school isn't the place for them. They need to go into Italian comedy or Sylvia Young's. You need to find the other education for them. When you see entrepreneurially driven people, you can only teach the ones to be better that have got the base talent there. You can't make me sing. You're never ever going to make me sing. There is no base talent there.
That would be a good vlog.
So you could spend £1,000 on singing lessons for me, and I'll still be terrible at the end. You can teach me to be a better public speaker, but I'm very happy being on stage. In fact, I love being on stage. I'm very confident being on stage. I want to do it, and I want to do more and more. Then you give me a speaker coach that will teach me more and more and critique things, and you get better and better. It's exactly the same as sport. You see, if you've got David Beckham and then you give him Sir Alex Ferguson to be his coach, you're getting someone that's already there, and then by menial sort of improvements, he's getting him to be there. But Sir Alex Ferguson works brilliant when there's a base talent in David Beckham or one of the other guys. I'm not a football fan, but that's the.
We see your point, yeah.
Yeah, we see my point.
My youngest, my son is very much like that. He's very much into videoing and editing, and he's looking at ways. Already, he's 13, looking at ways to how he can make money, and he's self-taught from YouTube, and he's natural with the camera since about 2 years old.
Yeah,
picked up a camera up and perfect pictures.
Yes, that's the thing. Technology is the thing. Some people have got, talent for tech. They can just create stuff, and I just hate it. I'll just do the bare minimum. But you're good at it, aren't you, Chance?
I like to think so.
I think so. But you're something. You should follow Mike's Instagram, because you put loads of good camera stuff on there.
I'll probably ask him.
Yeah, a lot of photography stuff.
Well, how can people follow you on Instagram, Chance?
At Mike_Chudley.
At Mike_Chudley.
Little plug there.
We need to get. I was thinking when we say that,
you need to actually get a plug out.
Yeah, that'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
You spent too much time with him.
It would be funny the first time.
Yeah, I just hang him from the side of the pulley.
Or just drop it down.
Yeah, there we go. And then we pull it back up. I want to do that, Chance.
All right, let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Right, any other question? Oh, well, what's a big challenge in your businesses, Nicki, or your business?
Well, again, it's like Carl's is staff.
Yeah.
So, having a family in your business is, every time I've gone to do that, it's ended in tears every time. Every time.
I know what needs to be done. It's just how to go about doing it without upsetting too many people.
Yeah. In fact, if people ask me, what's the 3 most important things in my life, it is my family, and the business should come second to the fact, it really, that's my opinion. I just want my businesses to provide for my family, and my family have a great life, my immediate family, and I get that's where it becomes difficult. And if you've got a heart, it's hard, isn't it?
How do you balance that though? Because that's.
Well, I don't have my family work for me because.
Oh no, I mean just the work-life balance. Forget that side of things.
Work gets more of my life, but that's because I like being here as well. But I do everything for my family.
Because that's the point that I'm at now. You put the hours in to build the foundations to.
Yeah, but
create.
Even if you create everything, if you're that way driven, you will carry on. You can't stop. One of the richest guys that I know is 70 years old, and I went out for dinner with him 3 weeks ago, and he's just borrowed £12 million because he's building 300 houses, and his wife's saying to him, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
You wouldn't know what else to do if he stopped.
And he turns around and says, I can't help who I am. He needs to be doing stuff like that. He's working harder now and doing more now at 70 years old than when he was running his businesses, because now he's got cash and resource and he's very entrepreneurially driven, and he's a very smart individual, and he knows how to do stuff, and that's just who he is, and he enjoys it, and he wants to do it, and I love him to bits. He's just a lovely, lovely man, and you know, I've learned loads from him, but you know, he always says his keynote phrase is, "You can't change who you are."
No, very true.
And I think that
On that note,
nicely ends this episode 8. We'll be back next week.
we will.
Thanks for listening from me, James Sinclair, and
Michael Chudley.
Nicki Salazar.
Nicki Salazar, lovely surname, and
Carl Harrison.
who I call Calvin Harris.
Or Calvin Harris, yeah.
Yep. So thanks very much for listening. We'll be back next week. Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.